In the same Upanishad, Mundaka Upanishad, it is said, Yatha Nadyah Syandamana Samudre Astam Gachanti Namarupe Vihaya. Just the way rivers flow and reach the ocean and end in the ocean by giving up their individual names and identities. Tatha Vidwan Namarupad Vimuktaha Parat Param Purushamupaiti Divyam. In the same way, the knower of self gives up the idea of names and forms and merges in the ultimate reality, where everything becomes one. See, our Upanishads are so kind, they all give us an example, analogy to understand greater truths. It is everywhere. How did God create? Yatha Uranabhi Srite Grihnatecha. How did the God create the world? Like the spider creates its web, lives in it and eats it up later and moves on and makes another web for itself. Everywhere in our Upanishad, any very important deep topic comes, they always give an example, practical example. That is the way Upanishads have been teaching humanity. So what is the example of a person who knows the truth? He has no attachment to names and forms. For he understands that everything is one. Like rivers merge in the ocean and become one. There is no Ganga, there is no Yamuna, there is no Godavari, Krishna. All of them go and become the Bay of Bengal. There is no difference there. You drink from this side, drink from that side, it's the same taste, same water. While they were moving or flowing through the lands, there were different names and forms, and people who lived by Ganges naturally sang the praises of Ganges. Those who lived by Godavari, they sang its glory. Those who lived by Krishna, they worshipped Krishna river. So also with Yamuna. But at the end, it all becomes the ocean. And when it becomes the ocean, you can't differentiate, this is Ganga water, this is Yamuna water, this is Godavari or Krishna water. Likewise, in the knowledge of the truth, the knower, the knowledge and the known, everything becomes one. The differences disappear. Now this sounds like quite a challenging philosophy because rarely we come across situations like this in daily life. So what does it mean? River becomes the ocean. So what happens to me? We all will bump into each other, become a big mass of humanity. What does that mean by becoming one? What does that mean? A lot of people have interpreted this in not their own ways. And the idea of self-realization, idea of jnani, idea of the knower of truth has been told by so many people in so many ways that now you don't know which one is the real definition of it. Thing is that everybody has looked at it from their own angle. Yogi looks at it as the experience of transcendence of mind. That's about the yoga teaches you only that. What all should you do? What asanas should you sit in? How long should you sit? Which all bandhas you should follow? How to control your chakras and energies to ensure that you transcend the mind and establish yourself in that. But once that is over, what happens next? Next you feel hungry. And if your food is not around and the food is not tasty, the next person next to you will get all your ashirvada there after the yoga. So yoga is one time when we put all these efforts and next time we become bhoga. So that is not permanent, that doesn't last. But some people think Atma Jnana means to attain that kind of a state and go to the state of samadhi and stay there for whatever time you want. But all of them have to come down, right? Back into the normal life for eating and moving and doing their things. So yoga hi prabhavapya, is said. Yogic ways are destined to go up and down. They rise and they come down too. All the time you want to establish in that yoga is difficult in the physical sense. You have to be in Himalayas or somewhere because if you are sitting here, somebody will disturb you. The number of notifications that come on your phone will never allow you to be a yogi. So that yoga is not everybody's cup of tea, and it needs a lot of withdrawal. You can't be working as a software engineer and also be a Brahmagyani because yoga won't allow you that. So what is the fate of the common man then? Should everybody run away to Himalayas? Then who will run the society? So those who run the society doing various things, are they less deserving? Are they not eligible? Should they not be allowed to experience the divinity? But divinity is for all, it's everybody's birthright. Then how can this dichotomy exist? Therefore, just yoga is not the method. It just takes you into a state and then brings you back. Then you will say, no, samadhi, like Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, out of devotion, or Sri Ramaram Harshi, out of just devotion or that faith in that truth, they experience that state. But then, every time such masters experience that state while they are in the society, say they were not living in Himalayas, they were living a little secluded life, but they were interacting with people and they were giving darshan and people were coming, they were answering their questions in some way or the other. And whenever they attain that state of samadhi, they become dysfunctional. Somebody had to feed them, somebody had to bathe them, somebody had to carry them. In fact, Sri Ramakrishna broke his hand legs quite a few times because of samadhi. He'll stand up on one leg and fall after samadhi. And because he has no body consciousness. And somebody has to look after his welfare. So that is also, they also know the truth. They also see anything and become, go into samadhi. But while living in the society, they get into samadhi. But they are again, can that help the poorest and the person who is stuck in this 10 by 10 cubicle in one top floor of the IT office? What happens to him or her? What happens to a simple house or homemaker who has children to look after, cook breakfast, dinner, lunch, and her life only revolves around this whole thing? What is her fate? Should she wait till eternity for everything to get over and then only attain God? Or what is her situation? A businessman who goes through ups and downs of life every day, what is his fate? What is his destiny then? Is he not eligible to experience that Brahmagyana now and here? What happens to them is the question. And that is where our Upanishads come so handy. They say, no, you're defining Atma Jnana and wisdom in a very distorted way. What you have to do is this is where it comes to picture. Atmaratihi, Atma Krida, and Kriyavan. Atmaratihi, as he said, you close your eyes, you meditate, you feel what oneness. This is what yoga is. Most of the yogis do that. Close their eyes, withdraw their senses, and establish their mind in that state of union. And they feel very blissful within. What about the others? They open their eyes and see the world as the Leela, as he said, a spot of God. There are people being born, there are people who die, there are people getting rich, there are people getting poor. So Ramana Maharshi was like that. He will see people and look at all these things as a passing drama. So he won't react to anything. A disciple of his came, a young boy, served him for some time and then said, my mother says that I must get a job and look after her. All right, very happy. So he goes, gets a job, he comes back and reports, I've got a job, I'm happy. My mother says that I must get a house to stay. Very happy. He went and got a house. Now he reported back, I've got a house. And my mother says I must get married now. Very happy. Goes, gets married, comes back, say, now you're married. My mother says we must have a child now. So they have a child, they're very happy. All of a sudden everything starts going bad. He comes and says, my mother passed away. My child passed away. My wife left me. I lost my job. I lost my house. Very happy, very happy, very happy, very happy. I want to come back and serve you again. Very happy. They don't react to anything. Atma Krida, Atmarati has been experienced by everybody, irrespective of whichever master it was. Many have experienced Atmarati and may not have so openly expressed the Atma Krida part. Many have experienced Atmarati and Atma Krida both. But being Kriyavan in the world is the third and the supermost quality of a Jnani. He should be of some benefit to the world, to all. And that is why amongst the Jnani, Brahmavidam Varishtaha, it is said, best of the Jnanis. These are all Jnanis. But the best of the Jnanis are those knowing the truth, knowing that all this is Leela, yet they respond like a child who cannot understand. You have to become a child with him and respond. When a baby falls on the ground, let us say, and cries, what does mother do? She comes and hits the ground. Bad ground, it troubled you. The child is satisfied. It doesn't mean the mother doesn't know. Mother is Ajnani. She thinks the floor is the reason why the child fell. She knows floor is not the reason. Child couldn't balance itself. But she behaves to just make the child understand and feel kinship and happiness. Same way these masters, they behave. You have a problem, they sit down and discuss with you as if it's a big issue and it has to be sorted out now. Because it's a big issue for you. They respond. They just don't keep quiet and give a lecture, everything is passing cloud, why do you get entangled into all these things? It doesn't work. For that child, it doesn't work. So this is compassion part of these Jnanis. They are in their understanding of the truth within, they understand the truth without, yet they behave like anybody else just for the sake of helping the society. That's all, nothing else. What is the fate of all the people otherwise? If all Gyanis withdraw to Himalayas, or all Gyanis go silent and don't discuss, don't talk, don't respond to anybody, what will happen to the ordinary and those who are still seeking God? Where will they go? So out of compassion, they keep doing things for the welfare of the world. So that part you have to understand in this present mission. It's very easy for me to withdraw into Atmarati and not come out and not discuss Atma Krida and just enjoy your pain and miseries also as a passing cloud and just not bothered about it. But I don't do that, because I also understand that if you have to rise, I have to first come down to your level, talk to you as you understand, and then slowly take you up. That's why I can't tell all the things, because he rightly pointed out you won't understand what I say right now. But just a little glimpse into the future, I told our Ayavu came from Malaysia. They built an ashram in the hills up there in Jandabaik. It's away from KL. It's very peaceful and nice. And in KL also there is a center, but it's very active and very vibrant center of social activities. There is food distribution, education, several various other social healthcare and activities. Whereas at Jandabaik, I told him, don't allow any activity, no social service over here. No social service and no socialization also here. You just come, people have to come, and don't put these photos. She was asking me, so we have these statues, where do we put the statues? I said, nowhere. The hall should be empty, no statues, no messages, no unwanted things, just a simple little altar, let people sit there. And what is the most important thing they have to do? They have to close their eyes, meditate, withdraw within, and understand that truth. Don't go behind names and forms anymore. That is what I told them. So don't be surprised if I start taking out names and forms and push you to find out who you are. The Argentinian devotees came, they built a hall. The same thing I told. Don't put too many things and all decorate it with all kinds of gods and goddesses. A typical Hindu Indian altar you should see. Any god, every god that they can get their hands on, they're all on the altar. If somebody is not, they'll push photos this way, that way, place one more. Almost looks like a government bus, loaded, overcrowded with gods. Somehow we feel very happy, because that story is there. A boy didn't do well after worshipping Shiva. So he turned the photo back and took out Ganesha and worshipped him. He didn't well, then he put Ganesha also back and pulled out a mother goddess. Worshipped, didn't do well again in the exam, put that also inside. When he was lighting agarbatti, all that, the fragrance, the fume was going into the cupboard. He got angry, tied a cloth around all the photos. You should not enjoy the agarbatti because you didn't help me in my exams. And all the gods appeared and said, today we have faith that we are all actually existing. You tied a cloth around our nose. So we are like that. Forget the cloth part of it. We are like that. We jump from form to form for our convenience. One form we try out, didn't work out, forget it, next form we will try. We go from guru to guru. This guru we tried, he didn't respond properly, let's find another guru and get what we want. We are never looking for what we are supposed to look for. That is where the problem is. Forms and names create that confusion. We try to make it comfortable and convenient for ourselves. More than that. But of course, compassion of the divinity that takes forms to help us. But at some point in time, there is a greater purpose than just solving your day-to-day problems. That's not the reason why divinity descends. It does that so that you can appreciate what it is trying to say. Once your mind is at peace, once your bodies are healthy, you can listen to that greater truth of the divine. For that sake, it's all done. Not for the sake of that I solve one problem, you come up with another, because endless, this world is endless. Ashashvatam. Anityam, Asukham. So where is the end to this? Someday you have to grow out of it and say, yes, there are problems. But I am not going to be worried about that. I know there are issues and they will be there. If you solve one, another will crop up. You overcome one desire, one more desire will crop up. This is endless. So when do I rise above all these things and say, yes, all this is there, yet I must rise above all this? That's when you start listening to the inner guru, you start growing. And that is the phase that we are talking about. And lot of talks have happened in the past. But our effort should be, see, there are forms and names required for children in the schools because they are yet to understand. Everybody is not born Nachiketa. They are on their way to become one. But those devotees, those senior members who have always been there, they have learned so many things, they have to slowly rise above these names and forms. Sri Ramakrishna Paramsa was very fond of Mother Kali. You know all the stories that he would eat, sleep, live. His whole life revolved around worshipping Mother. He will talk to her, he will joke with her, he will get angry, he will fight with her. And she would appear in a Sukshma Rupa. And they will have their conversations. The whole world will be looking on what is this madman talking to the air. But he knows there is Mother sitting here and talking and laughing and joking. And he will tell, see, Mother has come. She is telling this. He will tell others. And all others will be wondering, what is he talking? So once Totapuri came, Totapuri was a very Advaitic and Vedantic and what you call it, Jnani. He was not so much into bhakti. So he tried to teach Ramakrishna Paramsa to meditate and focus on the third eye and realize that truth. And Ramakrishna would close his eyes and immediately the mother's form will come in front of his face because that's all he knew. And he will again, ma, he'll get lost in that thinking. And Totapuri was getting restless. He said, no, you should not think of form. I'm trying to take you beyond forms and names. Why do you bring that form? He says, whenever I close my eyes, Mother is coming. And he says, where is this Mother coming from? It's coming from your mind. Mind has created a form and name. Mind alone understands forms and names. Beyond mind, there are no forms and names. He said, what do I do now? He said, take a sword. Where do I get a sword? From the same mind which is creating the Mother. Take the sword and cut that Mother into two, he said. Destroy that image. Totapuri taught this Ramakrishna. And Sri Ramakrishna did that. He closed his eyes, imagined the sword, and destroyed the image of Mother which was coming up again and again in his mind. And then he transcended the name and form and got established in the higher self. But when he came out of it after 3 days he was lost. He couldn't come out of it. Totapuri was shocked. He thought, what kind of jnani he must be, how much pure he is, that what took 40 years for me to attain, he just got it in a trice and didn't come out of that samadhi. And later, of course, Totapuri realized that whether form or no form, the truth is one and the same. So Sri Ramakrishna tells, showing a snake, if the snake is moving or the snake is coiled and serpent is coiled, both are serpents only. Jagat is the moving God. Atman is the stationary. Kutastha machalam, dhruvam. That is the one which is steady and at the same time moving also. So accept both. But unfortunately what happened, we get stuck in the moving God and never reach the steady one. We get stuck with these names and forms and we never try to understand the steady self. And that's where our homework is not done. We are half educated. We are half blind. That should not happen is all my effort is from here onwards. While we celebrate names and forms, you love names and forms, you interact with names and forms with complete awareness that this is just a representation, but the deeper truth is something else. Now, how do we do that? As I said, develop more compassion, develop more purity. Even through path of devotion, if you have a lot of purity, it will help you realize that. Even through path of seva, if you have a lot of selflessness, it will help you realize that. All cannot just sit and meditate. If you are studying, study with selfless motives. If you are working, work with selfless feelings, without expectations, without attachment, without any desire. Just do for doing sake. Karmanyavadhikaraste. And don't have any expectations from any things. Do your best, but don't even bother about what comes out of it. This is the key to begin the journey from Dvaita to Advaita. Otherwise, Advaita will become a nice discussion forum. We will all discuss and feel very good. At the end, what have you realized? Nothing. You know all the shlokas, all the mantras, all the Upanishads by heart. But then you have no experience. As Swami Vivekananda said, 1 ounce of experience is better than 20 tons of preaching. So that is the idea. The experience comes when we become selfless, when we become compassionate, when we know that even you attain the state of samadhi or whatever you call that, atma, what is the behavior at that time? Not somebody who is lying flat on the ground. Not somebody who is sitting like a stone statue. That would not be the state. It will be working, talking, walking, moving, serving. That will be the state. But how you will be serving, walking, talking, moving? Selflessly. That's the key. So don't have unnecessary imagination of Atma Jnana as something which is to be attained at a certain age by doing certain things, by withdrawing and running away to a certain place. None of this is true. It was true maybe in other Treta Yuga. But for Kali Yuga, that's not this way. Kali Yuga way is work in the society selflessly for everybody's welfare, be Kriyavan. And as you become Kriyavan and help for others, slowly Atma Krida will come in you. And as Atma Krida comes, you start seeing everything as the divine play, Atma Rati will come in you. You will start absorbing your mind into that self. So you can start with service and lot of selfless service to everyone. That will help you feel divinity in all, and that will help you feel divinity within. That is another way of working your salvation out. But be mindful that beyond the name and forms alone, the truth lies. And too much attachment to name and form makes us like a very fanatic and a very cult-like organization. That I do not want. I want this organization to be open to embrace everybody who comes in. That's why I said in those halls, let there be only truth. Whoever of whatever denomination, whichever area, they must come. No badges, no scarves, no drama and melodrama around it. Just pure, simple seekers of truth are welcome. With or without a badge, without the knowledge of the forms and names. You celebrate names and forms, but live with the mindfulness, the awareness of what you are celebrating and whom you are celebrating. God was, is and will be. Before Sai Baba's also God was there and people achieve great things. After all the Sai Babas go also God will be there and they will continue to achieve great things. Let us not get stuck. And this is how religion is born, this is how religious fanaticism is born, this is how extremism is born. After master leaves, few people get together and then they become the self-appointed, so to say, authority of that particular master. No masters created a religion behind themselves. Religion got created by them, by the followers who had very limited understanding of, they got stuck with the name, form, ideologies, places. And that has led to that has done more damage to the world than help. We can't fall in that trap again. That is why it's very important that we move slowly into the Advaitic thought, while we appreciate, understand, enjoy as Atma Krida. In that Atma Krida, you exist, he exists, I exist, everything exists. Atma Krida only. Avatars also exist in that Atma Krida only, a play of the divine. But that is not ultimate. Beyond that is Atma Ratihi, self-realized. Within you feel that oneness. And oneness does not mean you become dysfunctional. You become paralytic. And somebody has to take you around all the place. I don't appreciate that kind of a realization. What use is that realization? Therefore, remember, our understanding of self-realization or the knowing of truth is different. Our understanding is that we understand that truth within, we experience that truth without, at the same time we are acting, we are working, we are like anybody else in the society. The best part of a self-realization should be nobody should know you are self-realized. That's how you should live in the society. They should think you are just another person till they really go deeper. These three qualities I wanted to again and again emphasize, because I don't want you all to develop a wrong understanding of self-realization. You don't have to withdraw and go anywhere. You don't have to stop doing what you're doing and start doing something else for it. Do whatever you're doing, you've got to do as your duty. Be super busy, super intensely you do it with all your heart and all your might, but do it unselfishly, without any desires for any gains out of it. That's all is the essence. Now you all may say that no, it's too simple to be true. But truth is simple. Unfortunately, most of the gurus and masters, they complicate it so much that after listening to the whole discourse, people come out, that was a great discourse. What did you understand? Nothing, but it was a great discourse. So many things he told, so many scriptures, so much quotations. What did you understand? I don't know. I didn't understand, but it was nice to sit in the hall and listen to. I don't want such discourses to happen. I was telling there are several kinds of gurus. I think I'll close with this. One type of gurus are there who are knowledgeable, who know the self, and then they run away because they know that I know the self, the others don't know the self here. And if I get here, then I will also lose my connect or the contact with it. So they realize that they run away to the Himalayas and sit in a cave or withdraw. There are others who know the self, and then they see people in the society, but they also know these people are not ready to listen to the truth. So they have to kind of mellow down the truth and actually tell sort of half truth or untruth only to people. Come for a 10 days meditation camp, come for this chakra meditation, come for this particular yoga camp. And they have to deal with them at that level only, because there is no audience for them otherwise. They won't be popular. They take that path. And many people benefit, at least at the mind level, they are giving some benefit to people, that is fine. But they're not taking them to the ultimate destination. That's fine too. But there are third category of people. So first one is Atmarati, second at best Atma Krida. Third category is Atmariti, Atma Krida and Kriyavan. They know the self, they know the others, others don't know the self, but yet they have the courage to go and talk to them and tell the truth as it is. You like it, you don't like it, it is your problem. So they tell the truth, and truth alone they should say. So that is how one should live in this world. It's a very simple thing. Self-knowledge or realization is nothing so complicated. Don't get bogged down by various people who say various things. It's as simple as this. Believe you are God, believe everything is God, and work for the welfare of all. If every one of us does that, we are all Jnanis, and we will be able to lead a life of fulfillment. And at the end, when we have to leave this body, we'll drop it like a garment which has finished its role, like a boat which has taken us across and it's not needed. There is no attachment to anything. So meditate on what I am saying. It's very important that you contemplate and meditate, because I try to simplify the bigger complicated things into simple ways so that it's easy to understand. Even the children will understand what I am saying. But you have to contemplate on it. This knowledge as of now is mine. But if you want to make it yours, you have to contemplate and assimilate and digest it. Otherwise it won't happen yours. It will never become yours. It will come back to me again. So after this session also, sit down 5 minutes, think about what I am saying. And then don't get into the fanciful thinking of wearing a certain kind of clothes or doing certain kind of things. It's all drama. It's not necessary. It is just created. The hype is just created around the whole thing. It's not necessary. You can be just as you are, yet you can be a Jnani, and a better Jnani than the best of the Jnanis, in fact, if you just follow this path.